An elderly woman, very rich and without heirs, decided to host a grand banquet in her mansion. Before the meal was served, she stood up and made an announcement that caught everyone's attention. "I've prepared a special gift for each of you," she said with a warm smile. "On this table there are two choices, an envelope filled with money or a small book. Each of you may choose whichever you wish." She looked around the room at her employees and added, "Choose freely. The banquet is already guaranteed. The gift is your decision." The first step forward was the gardener. He bounced slightly and said, "Madam, I'm very grateful for the meal and for your kindness. But this little book won't do me any good. Obviously, I'll take the money." The second was the butler. With a proud expression, he declared, "With all due respect, ma'am, I'm not naive. I know how to make smart decisions. I'll take the money as well." Then came the cook. She laughed and said, "If that book were a recipe collection, maybe I'd choose it. But it looks like some old storybook, so I'll take the money instead." Finally, it was the youngest servant's turn. A quiet girl who took care of the animals on the estate. Before she could speak, the lady interrupted gently. "My dear, I know your family struggles. Let me just give you the money. It will help you more than that book ever could." But the girl smiled softly and replied, "Thank you, Mom. It's true that the money would help a lot, but since I was little, my grandmother always told me that wisdom is worth more than gold, and that the word can open doors no key can. So I'll take the book." Everyone gasped. The butler rolled his eyes and muttered, "Foolish girl." But when the young woman opened the book, she found two envelopes hidden inside. In the first was a sum of money 10 times greater than what the others had received. In the second, there was a document, a will, stating that when the lady's time came home, her wealth, property, and estate would belong to the one who had chosen the book. The old woman smiled with tears in her eyes and said, "You see, my dear, true wisdom always rewards faith and patience." She then opened the little book and read aloud, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean on your own understanding in all your ways. Acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." Proverbs 3:5-6. If this were just a story for laughs, you'd probably share it without thinking. But since it's about faith, let's see who has the courage to share it. Remember, if you honor God before people, he will honor you before the world. Subscribe for more stories.
A man came home early one evening only to see his wife kissing another man through the window. His heart shattered, he dropped to his knees outside, whispering, "Why, God? I've been honest, loyal, and loving. Why me?" Broken, he walked away from everything, his home, his job, his life, and ended up on the streets. Within days, his little savings were gone. Hungry and exhausted, he tried to buy a meal at a small restaurant, but the owner smeared, "We don't serve beggars here." Ashamed, he took the food outside and sat alone on a bench. Before eating, he prayed softly, "Lord, my life is in your hands now." As he opened the container, a weak voice spoke. A pregnant woman stood before him holding 2 starving children. "Please, sir," she begged. "We haven't eaten in 3 days." He looked at his only meal, then at the children's eyes and handed it to her. In tears, she pressed a small rusty coin into his hand. "It's all I have left," she said. That night he slept hungry. Under a newspaper the next morning, as he unfolded it, he noticed an ad. "We buy rare coins. Every coin tells a story." He took the rusty coin to the shop. The dealer examined it and said, "Sir, this coin is extremely rare, worth thousands." With trembling hands, the man sold it, tears streaming down his face. His kindness had brought him a miracle. He ran back to find the woman, but no one had seen her. Then a shopkeeper handed him an envelope she'd left behind. Inside, a note read, "You gave when you had nothing. This is God's way of giving back. Keep believing. You are never alone." The man wept, realizing that faith had never left him and that God had been watching all along. "If you believe, God never abandons those who trust him," he said. Share this story and subscribe and keep the faith.
The bar went silent as she stormed in without a word. She grabbed a glass of wine and splashed it across her husband's face. Then she threw a stack of papers at him. "Sign them," she shouted. "From now on, drink all you want." "Done." Her husband Daniel frowned. "They're my friends. What's wrong with having a few drinks?" She snapped, her voice trembling with anger. "Look at yourself. Every day you waste your life at this bar. You used to have dreams, Daniel. What happened to you?" He slammed the papers on the table. "If you want a divorce, fine. I've got plenty of friends who actually support me." "Good," she cried. "Then pack your things and get out." That night, Daniel turned to his drinking buddies. "Bro, I'm divorced. Can I crash at your place for a while?" His friend laughed awkwardly. "Sorry, man. My place is full." He went to another friend. Same answer. One by one, they all turned him away. Desperate, he went to his uncle's house. "Uncle, she kicked me out. I've got nowhere to go." The old man didn't say much. He simply handed Daniel a small card and said, "There's $1 million in this account. Use it to fix your life. Stay away from those friends. They'll drink with you when things are good, but they'll never stand with you when you fall." Tears filled Daniel's eyes. "Thank you, Uncle. I'll never forget this." 1 year later, Daniel returned no longer the man he once was. He built a company, a life, and a name for himself. "Uncle," he said proudly, "you changed my life. Here, $2 million to repay you." But his uncle smiled softly. "No, Daniel, that money was always yours." Froze. "What? What do you mean?" The uncle sighed. "A year ago, your wife came to me. She sold your house, your car, and gave me everything she had. She said, 'Don't tell him, just help him change.'" Daniel's eyes widened, just tightened as the truth sank in. He rushed out of the house, ran straight to the small restaurant where his wife worked, and found her wiping tables quietly. "Emma," he whispered, tears in his voice, "I'm sorry. I regret everything." She looked up, trembling. "I never stopped loving you," she said softly. "I just wanted you to become the man I always believed you could be." Daniel took her hand, eyes filled with tears. "I've left those friends behind, darling. Let's start over. You think she did the right thing? Drop a heart if you believe. Sometimes love means letting go to help someone grow." Subscribe for more videos.
Every morning, the man stood at the same corner, not begging for money, but with a sign that read, "I will work." Anything. People ignored him, quickly shaking their heads and moving on. One owner challenged him, "Why not just ask for money?" The man replied, "I don't want sympathy, I want dignity." The owner scoffed, "Dignity doesn't pay rent." Days blurred. Rain and cold tested him, but every morning he was back with the same sign. One afternoon, a woman stopped. She handed him a broom and said, "Clean the back of my cafe." He worked for hours until the cafe shined. She gave him an envelope of money, but he gently pushed it back. "This is too much for one day," he said. She froze, replying, "No one's ever said that to me." The next morning, the man was gone. Instead, behind the counter of the cafe stood the same man, clean, trimmed, and smiling. Customers whispered, "Wasn't he homeless?" The woman smiled and answered, "Yes." And before he lost everything, he ran his own restaurant for 12 years. His old sign now hung inside. All he asked for was work. Someone finally listened.
An old man found a thick leather wallet on the sidewalk. He noticed a small gold logo on it, the kind of brand he could never afford. Cars rushed past, but he only saw the wallet in his hands. Carefully, he opened it and saw a stack of cash. There were also cards and papers that looked important. He thought for a moment that this money could help him eat for months, but he felt uneasy. He whispered to himself, "This isn't mine." He carried the wallet home to his small, cold apartment. The wallet felt heavy in his hands as he sat in the dim light. The next morning, he went to the police station, told the officer, "I found this wallet." The officer opened it and quickly saw the identification. "This belongs to Mr. Reynolds. He's one of the richest men in town," the officer said. They called Mr. Reynolds. Half an hour later, a black car arrived. A tall man in a sharp suit got out and came into the station. When he saw the wallet, his face changed. "You found this?" Mr. Reynolds asked. "Yes, sir," the old man replied, holding out the wallet. Mr. Reynolds checked the contents. Counting the bills and looking through the papers, he said, "Everything is here. You saved me a lot of trouble. There is more than just money in here. Some of these papers are very important to me. Thank you." He took out a thick envelope and handed it to the old man. "Here, $5,000. You deserve this." People in the station watched. The old man looked at the envelope but shook his head. "No, sir," he said. Mr. Reynolds insisted. "It's all right." "Please take it." But the old man stepped back. "No, I can't take money for doing the right thing." The people in the room exchanged looks. One officer whispered, "He's too proud." Others said maybe he doesn't understand. Mr. Reynolds nodded. "You are an honest man. The world needs more people like you." The old man left the police station that night. In his small kitchen, the old man thought about his son who owned a print shop downtown. The next morning, Mr. Reynolds sat in his office. His secretary brought in some papers. On top was a business card from a local print shop, along with a note. "Sir, please don't send anything to me. I don't need money, but if you ever need brochures or signs, there's a small shop. They do honest work. Maybe you could give them a chance." Mr. Reynolds read the note again and smiled. He called his assistant. "Find this print shop, give them a big order, and pay in full up front." 2 days later, the print shop received an email with a large prepaid order.
She made her sick mother-in-law sit in the back seat, but she didn't know this would end her marriage. A woman watched her elderly mother-in-law approach the car and snapped, "Step aside. I'm taking the front seat." Her husband calmly replied, "Let my mom sit there. She isn't feeling well." But his wife refused. "No, I'm sitting here. She can lie down in the back seat." The old woman didn't argue. She smiled gently and said, "It's okay, my son. I'll sit with the girls in the back." She got in quietly, without a single complaint. As the car moved, the man asked, "Do you girls have enough space back there?" One daughter said, "Yes, Dad, but please open the window. Something smells disgusting." Before he could respond, the stepdaughter spoke softly. "I'm fine, Dad. Grandma's cool. She was kind to me back in her village." Suddenly, the wife said, "Stop at the gas station." She bought a strong car perfume and sprayed the entire car while they drove. Trying to keep peace, the son said to his mother, "Mom, I've been busy lately. Today we're all family. Let's go shopping." But his wife interrupted. "Let's take her for a shower first. Let's go to a cheap store." The elderly mother looked at her son and said gently, "My son, you have your new family. I don't want to cause you trouble." That's when the man finally had enough. He stopped the car. He opened his wife's door and said firmly, "If you can't respect my mother, then take your gold-digging daughter and walk away from me. Get out." He helped his mother into the front seat and drove away. That day, he took his mother and stepdaughter to the most expensive boutique in town, not to show off, but to show respect, because a man who forgets his mother forgets who he is. Like and subscribe if you agree with the husband's actions.
"Please, could you spare some food? My daughter hasn't eaten in a day." The words barely left her mouth before a waiter stormed to the door as if chasing off trash. "This is a high-end restaurant in Los Angeles, not a shelter. Get out now." The entire restaurant fell into a terrifying silence. In the corner, young billionaire Leon Harrington sat alone. A table full of steak, truffle pasta, and red wine in front of him, none of it filling the emptiness in his eyes. As judgmental stares fell on the mother and child at the door, Leon finally looked up and saw her. Her name was Emily Carter. She held her sleeping daughter tightly, her coat soaked through, her face pale. Her voice trembled, but her dignity hadn't died. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just really have nowhere else to go." The waiter yelled again, louder, "Out! People like you are not welcome here!" And just as he lifted his hand to shove her out, Leon's voice sliced through the room like a blade. "Touch her and you'll regret it!" Everyone froze. The waiter stuttered, "Sir, she's that kind of person."
Shut up.
Leon stood, walked toward Emily, and placed his coat gently over her shoulders. "You said she hasn't eaten in a whole day." Emily nodded, tears gathering in her eyes. Leon turned to the manager, his voice cold as steel. "Bring out the best food in the kitchen. From this moment on, they are my guests." Crowd gasped. Some people lowered their heads, shame creeping into their faces for the first time. Emily held her daughter close as tears spilled down. "Why? Why would you help me?" Leon paused for a moment. "Because when I was a kid, I was the one nobody wanted to look at." When the hot soup arrived, Emily's daughter woke to the smell and whispered, "Mom, do we really get to eat tonight?" At that moment, every smirk and ounce of arrogance in the room disappeared. "Leon," brushed the girl's hair gently. "You're safe now. Eat slowly. You don't have to be afraid anymore." Then Leon stood and addressed the entire restaurant. "While we sit here wasting food, there are children praying just to survive another night." The room dropped into a dead silence. Emily grabbed his hand. "I'll try. I'll become better." Leon shook his head gently. "You already are. You deserve kindness, not humiliation." That night, one simple act of compassion lit up the soul of an entire restaurant. Just as Matthew 25:35 says, "I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me." If this story touched your heart, write love in the comments and share this video and subscribe for more.
He proposed with a simple ring. She said yes with tears in her eyes. 2 days later, her parents forced her to leave him. Years passed. One day, he saw her at a jewelry store. She was choosing wedding rings with another man. She noticed him watching. Quietly, she slipped something into his hand. It was the same ring. She whispered, "I never stopped being yours. I just couldn't stay." Love doesn't always end. Sometimes it sacrifices itself. Subscribe for more videos.
A young woman named Emily was walking home from work when she spotted an elderly man sitting alone outside a closed grocery store. His clothes were old, shoes were torn, and he was shivering in the cold. Emily walked up and asked softly, "Sir, are you okay?" The old man forced a smile. "I'm fine, dear, just waiting for the store to open." Emily looked at the store sign. It clearly said permanently closed. Her heart ached. "Sir, this place shut down months ago." The old man lowered his head. "My eyesight's been getting worse. I came here because I hoped someone would give me a job sweeping the floor. My wife passed away last year. I don't want to be a burden to anyone." Emily felt tears sting her eyes. She said, "Sir, come with me." She brought him to a small diner where she worked as a waitress. She talked to her manager, who agreed to give the old man a warm meal on the house. As the old man ate slowly and gratefully, Emily sat beside him, gently cleaning the dirt from his worn-out glasses. Before leaving, she wrote her number on a note. "If you ever need help, call me. You're not alone." Years later, Emily, now the assistant manager of the diner, arrived at work and saw a large black car parked outside. A man in a suit stepped out and said, "Are you Emily? Someone wants to see you." She was led to the back of the car. The door opened, and inside sat the same elderly man, but he looked completely different. A freshly painted, clear new glasses, and a warm smile. "Emily," he said softly, "you may not remember everything you did, but I do." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a deed to the entire diner, with her name listed as co-owner. Emily was stunned. I can't accept this," the old man said. "My son passed away young. I had no one left until you showed me kindness. I invested what I had left to rebuild my life. Now I want to rebuild yours." Emily burst into tears as he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Kindness saved me. Now let me return the blessing." Drop a heart if you believe kindness always comes back. Subscribe for more stories.
An old man wearing a worn-out jacket and dusty shoes walked into a luxury jewelry store in downtown New York. He approached the counter and smiled politely. "Miss, could I take a look at this necklace, please? It's for my granddaughter. She's graduating soon." The young saleswoman looked him up and down, her tone dripping with arrogance. "Sir, these pieces are very expensive. Maybe you should try somewhere more affordable." The old man's smile faded, but his voice stayed gentle. "I just want something nice for her. She's worked so hard." The saleswoman crossed her arms and scoffed. "Look at the way you're dressed. You're wasting my time." Then she turned her back on him, ignoring him completely. At that moment, the store manager walked by. "Emily," he snapped sharply, "a customer is a customer. You treat everyone with respect, no matter how they look." He turned to the old man with a warm smile. "I'm very sorry, sir. Let me personally show you a few options." The old man nodded. "Thank you. You've been very kind. I won't buy today. I'll think about it." Then he left quietly. The next morning, a sleek black Rolls-Royce stopped in front of the store. The door opened and the same old man stepped out, but this time he was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, his presence calm and commanding. He walked inside, greeted the stunned saleswoman with a small smile, then turned to the manager. "Mr. Harris," he said, "yesterday I was just testing your staff." He paused, looking straight at the young woman. I may not always look wealthy, but respect is worth far more than money. Then he pointed to the same necklace the manager had shown him before. I'll take that one. And from now on, all my jewelry will be bought from here. Because of you, not the store. The manager smiled humbly as the saleswoman stood frozen, speechless. Do you agree that respect is more valuable than riches? Drop a heart if you believe kindness never goes unnoticed. Hit subscribe for more stories.
This place isn't for you. Can you stop embarrassing me? With one sentence, the woman shattered a marriage the man had spent years holding together. What she didn't know was 3 years later, in the very same place, she would be the one frozen in shock. Lucas Carter, 35 years old. Every morning at 5 a.m., he pulled on dust-covered work clothes and headed to construction sites. He took on the hardest electrical jobs, all for one person. His wife, Laura. For years, Lucas worked late into the night. He paid her tuition, covered the rent, carried every ounce of pressure alone. And every day he told her, "You're going to make it. Even if the whole world doubts you, I believe in you." Eventually, Laura did make it. She became a successful lawyer. But with her success came shame and disgust toward the man who stood behind her. Before an important formal gala, as she adjusted her dress, she said coldly, "Don't come. You don't belong there. That world isn't for you." Not long after, she asked for a divorce. Lucas left with nothing but a backpack, heartbroken and questioning if he truly wasn't enough. But the pain didn't break him. It forced him to work harder, learn faster, climb higher. 3 years later, he founded Carter Electrical Engineering. From working alone to providing for over 200 families, life has a way of flipping the script when you least expect it. At a charity gala hosted by Laura's own law firm, the host stepped onto the stage. Please welcome tonight's sponsor. It's an entrepreneur who started with nothing and now supports hundreds of families, Mr. Lucas Carter. Laura froze. Lucas walked under the stage and said calmly, "Someone once told me I didn't belong in certain places." He paused. "But now I understand. The ones who do and belong anywhere are those who forget who stood by them when they had nothing." Laura broke down in tears. Simply smile, because fate never rushes revenge. It waits for the right stage. Never underestimate the person who held you up at your lowest point. God lifts people quietly, but when he humbles them, it's often in front of everyone. If this story moved you, share it and subscribe. Someone today needs to hear it.
"Ma'am, I'm afraid there's been a mistake," the head waiter said, his voice cold. The whole dining room seemed to pause. An older woman in a simple coat stood at the entrance of the city's most exclusive restaurant. She clutched a worn handbag. The head waiter, Julian, looked her up and down. "This is a reservation-only establishment." The woman smiled gently. "I do have one for table 12 by the window." Julian almost laughed. "Ma'am, table 12 is for our most distinguished guests. Perhaps there is a small table in the back." The woman didn't argue. "I can wait," she said softly. "It is a very important night." Julian gestured dismissively towards the crowded bar. "Wait over there." He then walked away, pleased with himself. The restaurant was buzzing. Tonight was their 20th anniversary, and the owner had told every Onifit, the most powerful food critic in the country, known only as the Silver Spoon, was rumored to be visiting. A good review would mean everything. The owner nervously scanned the room. "Any sign of her, Julian?" "She writes anonymously." "She could be anyone." Julian puffed out his chest. "Don't worry, sir. I've been seating only our finest clients. No one unusual has come in." Suddenly, the owner's phone buzzed. He looked at the message, and his face went pale. "She's here. She says she's been waiting at the bar for 15 minutes. He rushed towards the bar and stopped dead. He was looking right at the old woman in the simple coat. "Madame Dubois," he stammered. It is an honor to have you." Julian froze. The entire room went silent. That was her, the Silver Spoon. The owner personally escorted Madame Dubai to table 12. She sat down and looked at Julian, her gentle smile now holding a new weight. 20 years ago, she began, a voice clear and strong. My late husband and I sat at this very table. It was the night I decided to start my career in food criticism. The room was speechless. You see, a restaurant isn't about keeping people out. It's about welcoming them in to make memories. She looked pointedly at Julian. You judge my coat, not my character. The owner looked at Julian, his expression hard as stone. We will be making a change in leadership here. Julian stared at the floor, his face burning with shame. Madame Dubois then gestured to a young busboy. That young man, however, brought me a glass of water without being asked. He showed me kindness. The owner nodded, understanding completely. As Madame Dubois opened her notebook to begin her review, she said to the owner, "A great meal fills the stomach, but great service fills the soul. Share if you agree that kindness is the most important ingredient."
A father had 3 daughters, 2 of his own and a stepdaughter. After his wife left, he was left to raise all 3 on his own. He loved all his daughters, but his biological children constantly mocked the stepdaughter because of a scar on her face, calling her ugly. The bullying got so bad that the stepdaughter eventually left the house. Years passed, and his eldest daughter squandered all the family's money through poor decisions. His second daughter stopped speaking to him and wouldn't let him see her children. The father, devastated and lonely, started drinking heavily to numb the pain. One night, as he was sitting in a rundown club, he suddenly heard someone call out, "Dad!" He looked up and saw his stepdaughter, who was there celebrating her son's birthday. She was now a beautiful, successful woman. "Rose, is that you?" Father asked. "Yes, Dad, it's me," she replied warmly. "No, stay away from me," he said, breaking down in tears. "I treated you so badly, I don't deserve to be called your father." "Dad, God had a plan for me. All I want is to hug you," she said as she embraced him. "Come and live with me and my family." She was just a delivery girl, but in 1 second she saved the life of a billionaire and changed her destiny forever. While rushing to finish her deliveries, the girl saw a wealthy man slip on the stairs. She didn't freeze. She ran, caught him, and saved him from a terrible fall. The man, shaken and grateful, rushed off to a meeting, never realizing who she really was. Minutes later, at his office, the man reached into his pocket. His phone was gone. Only one thing remained, a pendant. The same pendant he had given his first love back in school. His heart stopped. Could she be nearby? Meanwhile, the girl hurried into the same company. Her stepfather, a security guard, met her at the entrance. "I found you this job." "You're late!" Nervous and rushing, she handed the drink to the manager. It slipped. Juice spilled all over his expensive suit. The manager exploded. "You did this on purpose!" "I'll take $10,000 from your father's salary." Trembling, she whispered, "Sir, my family is struggling." He sneered. "Then pay for my suit." Suddenly, the boss walked in, the same man she had saved. He stared at the mess and thundered, "If I spilled that juice, would I owe $10,000? The manager stammered, No, you're the boss." The boss snapped, "You're fired." He turned to thank the girl, but she was gone. All that remained was a note. "First love never fades. But I'm just a delivery girl and you're the boss." His heart raced. He ran outside, calling her name. "I don't care about status," he shouted. "My love for you never disappeared." They found each other. Tears fell, but this time they were happy. Sometimes the purest love returns when you least expect it. If you believe first love is real, like and share this story, and tell us about the one you never forgot.
Everyone at the table chose money, every single one, and they all thought the last person was foolish. A wealthy person, alone and without family, invited their team to a grand dinner. Before the food was served, they said, "Tonight, each of you will receive a gift. On this table are 2 choices, an envelope full of money or a small book. Choose freely." One by one, the staff stepped forward. Everyone laughed or smirked and chose the money. Then it was the youngest team member's turn, a quiet person who helped behind the scenes. "Take the money," the host said. "It will help you more." But the quiet one smiled and replied, "Money helps for a moment. Wisdom lasts a lifetime. I'll take the book." The room went silent. When they opened the book, they found 2 envelopes inside. The first contained 10 times more money than anyone else received. The second was a legal document giving the book chooser the entire estate. The host smiled and said, "True wisdom always rewards patience and faith," and read aloud, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and He will guide your path." Proverbs 3:5-6, most would share a story for laughs, but this one tests faith. Will you share it? Subscribe for more stories.
The teacher looked at the broken window and said, "Who did this?" And 2 best friends froze. Aisha and Ria were both 14 and sat in the same classroom. They walked home together every day, but they believed in very different things. Aisha believed honesty was everything. Truth saves you in the long run, she always said. Ria didn't agree. Truth just gets you in trouble, she replied. Smart people hide it. One afternoon after school, they were practicing throwing a ball in the empty classroom. The ball slipped from Ria's hand and smashed the window. Glass cracked loudly. Both girls panicked. The next morning, the teacher asked who broke it. The whole class went quiet. Ria whispered, "Don't say anything. They'll never know." Aisha's heart was racing, but she stood up. "It was an accident," she said. "We were playing, and the ball hit the window." The teacher sighed but didn't shout. "Thank you for telling the truth," she said. Aisha and Ria were asked to help clean the class and write an apology note. That was it. Later that week, something unexpected happened. The teacher chose Aisha to be class monitor. "I trust her," she said in front of everyone. A month later, Ria was blamed for losing some class money she didn't take. She told the truth this time, but no one believed her. After school, she sat quietly and said to Aisha, "I wish I hadn't lied so much before." Aisha replied gently, "Honesty doesn't make life easy every day, but it makes people trust you." From then on, Ria started choosing truth, even when it felt scary.